briefly, just having a bit of a break there, you're talking about Stadium Super Truck. So wait, you've got to talk about the American thing because we've, a lot of Speedway and American guys, they're just loose. They just let you race whenever. Yeah. If you've got a license, if you got something from Cornflakes, you're all good. But, you're all good to go. But, so when you're in America, you basically went over there and tested the car, did you?
Yeah, like I obviously we talked a little bit about Stadium Truck and then for everyone, Dan was going through his notes and he forgot a heap of stuff. So I did actually drive some stuff, some cool stuff. Yeah. But the Stadium Truck thing was, I was lucky enough to drive. I ended up driving I was meant to be the Australian series and it ended pretty quickly just with some shenanigans in Darwin. I after it all finished in Australia the first time, I was asked to go back over. So my old boss, who was really close and helping run it, said, come across and bring your helmet and we'll spend a week. So I went over to Charlotte and stayed at Robbie's house on the lake and he's just sold this factory to move out. So I walked into his factory and he's got all these old NASCARs, all these old Cup cars there.
So he still has them?
Yeah, they were just in shelves, boom, boom, all up.
Really?
His Indy car that he ran out of petrol on the second to last lap whilst leading was just sitting on the chassis dyno with dust on it and then all these stadium trucks. But he had a test track in his car park.
Really?
Yeah. So
God bless America.
God bless America. So anyway, we were sitting there for a day and a bit. I was hanging out and I'm like, yeah, this is good. And then Robbie left and the mechanic's like, dude, we need some stuff done. And so I ended up spending 3 days doing shocker testing, helping. There was a new guy that was valuing all the shockers and they got ramps there. They just get the forklift, put the ramp out. All right, take this truck out. And so we were doing stadium truck shocker testing. I spent 3 days in the US jumping trucks. It was so cool. And then when it runs out of petrol, just drive it up the gas station. And everyone knew each other. So you could drive the truck through the streets to the gas station.
Really?
And then he's got this other thing over the back. He's now building these little UTVs, speed UTVs. And the prototype, he's got this forest and he's just got a grader and just dug out this track. And he took me for a run through. I thought I was going to die. And flat out. The guy's an exceptional driver, 100%. He's a wheelman. So then Greg Biffle come down. And I actually got to chew to him in stadium trucks. So I'm teaching this guy, then Casey Mears and
all these NASCAR boys.
Yeah, it was, and then you go out to dinner at night and there's Joey Logano just over there, and so the loosest time ever. We get to Road America and here's Robbie in a UTV doing donuts in the paddock. Imagine if we did that here, it'd be crazy. And then his son at the time, Max, was only 12 and he was driving the safety car. Couldn't reach the pedals, that's all right. Case of water, jammed him up with some rags on his feet. And he's driving the safety car at an IndyCar event.
Really?
Yeah, full on. yeah. So
holy shit.
It's so obviously a very loose. They're loose over there, not OH&S, but it is so much fun because they're just old school. They just love, cubic inches and doing cool stuff, and that's what it was all about. We just hung out and
In America though, you can basically, which is what we've had the Speedway guys on the show. You can basically, as you said, you got offered a drive, didn't you?
Yeah.
In a Trans Am.
Well, I was going to drive the stadium trucks. I went over, Matty Nolan, a mate of mine, he was going to drive over there, so I went and helped him as well. But they had the spare truck, and then Greg come down. He wasn't going to do it, but flew his private jet, as you do, and made it there. And then there was some Trans Ams there. So I almost got the Guernsey to run a TA1 over there, which is like the TA2 here, but with a different engine.
Yeah, right.
Because over there, because it's TA1, TA2, TA3, there was, I think, TA1 and TA2 running as supports. So these ones had, so if it was a Chev, it would have a GM engine. If it was a Ford, it would have a Ford engine. And if it was the Chrysler, it would have a Hemi engine, I think it is. So slightly different. They had bigger wings on them, but super cool. Yeah, really cool. That's where I first saw them over there. Yeah,
so what year was this around? This was
17, 18.
Okay, yep. So everyone knows this is pretty recent and this still happens in America.
Yeah.
This isn't like the 80s or anything if people are listening,
Yeah. But that whole stadium truck experience, to bring them over, and then I still remember the first test in one. I wasn't driving them at all, and then I was flying up to Gold Coast to work, and they're like, "Well, there's a spare truck, and we need someone to drive it." And to get your head around hitting that ramp, and so the first one you back off, and because it's all sorts of wrong, and then Robbie's like, "Can we swear on this?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can say whatever.
Fuck, dude. What the fuck, you pussy? That's exactly what he said. And so he taught you. You actually, when you drive it, it's like a motorbike.
Yeah.
So you want a little button off, and then as you hit the ramp, hit the accelerator, and in the air, you either hit the brake or hit the throttle to drop the back or pitch the nose. So, but the biggest thing is the way they service the bushes and the wheels. So wheels are like 46 kilos each. So if one drops quicker than the other, it would turn the truck in the air. So at times you would be looking at the sky or coming down, you'd be almost thinking you're going to front flip and nosedive because the things would move around in the air. That were the scare. I still remember telling my wife, I'm driving this because I didn't tell her, and I went up to Gold Coast and went out to Norwell for half a day, and they said, "Oh, yep, you'll be right." And I text her all the passwords for every account, everything, because I said, "I think I can die in one of these." The only thing I thought I could die in, and it's not a bad thing to say. Obviously, everything's dangerous, but they were. The only thing I've ever driven that put a massive smile on my face, but scared the shit out of me at the same time.
Yeah, right.
Because I was so out of my depth, and it took me a while. I was disappointed that it didn't hang around because it wasn't until after probably spending time in the US where I actually learned how the craft of driving it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Are they one gear?
No, they're like an Aussie 4-speed, like a 1, 2, 3, like a.
So the gears go up like that?
Yeah,
or,
and then they got a little wand, a little handbrake.
Yeah,
to
right.
rotate them. Yeah, so it for someone, and you drove them with 2 feet as well, and the brakes were shit house on them. Every American car, heaps of horsepower, no brakes. And so it was. They were so daunting to drive, but once you got a head around the style, like I was telling you before, with Adelaide, I secretly snuck my car home because I worked for Adelaide and they were in containers. I might have got the trailer and brought one home, and I got an engineer to come and fully go through it. And we set this thing up like a race car, and it was a friggin' weapon. Like it was the fastest thing out there, but overnight it miraculously got detuned. But, when they're in the window and you're at one with it, they were just amazing, like such a great experience.
So did you figure out with the engineer how to make them land like straight in a way instead of like downwards?
Yeah, the secret was the land and the throttle pickup without any bounce. If you had bounce front wheels, you think about 2 46-kilo wheels, so essentially 90 kilos.
Yeah.
Of weight, ballast weight, that would be lifting up and down. You'd lose and that's where the guys like Brabs and that was so good. They were doing it all the time, every weekend. They would just smoke you on the landing. But the other thing you got, if you were compromising the air, little things like having to hit the throttle when you land, like it was, out of control. Man, it was for a traditional racer to go and do that. And look, Paulie Morris did a great job, but it took him a while as well. And he was onto it. He's the smartest guy ever. We knew Robbie had Robbie's car, and then the rest had their cars. So I remember one day he swore black and blue that the car wasn't good. This was in Darwin. In the last race, I think Robbie just said, "Fuck it, you can have my car." So they swapped bodies, and no shit, Paul got in that car and just blew everyone away. I
think I remember. Was that Adelaide?
No, this was in. It was always staged for Robbie to win.
Yeah, okay.
Always. Like it was just uncanny that he'd always get there at the end, but it was the show, and that was where Robbie, and I think we discussed earlier that that mix between sport and entertainment. Robbie was all entertainment. Yeah, excellent wheelman, smart dude, like far out. He was quite a super sophisticated, smart guy, and this concept of stadium truck was all derived from using a remote control car.
Yeah, right.
He said, "Why don't I turn that into something?"
Oh, the Traxxas cars. Yeah.
Yep, that was it. So, and he's very proud and he sticks to his IP. Jeez, but he's good. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, right. You got to explain more about so you visited North Carolina, didn't you?
Yeah.
Can you explain? I've been there on a NASCAR tour years ago in 2010.
Yep.
But what was your experience of literally saying North Carolina? It's nuts for a motorsports fan.
Oh, it's like if you think of getting every supercar team, every supercar driver, all living in the one suburb. That's what it's like. You know, they're all, it's sort of the hub. So it's, that up there, that's Willpower and so on. So like everyone lives in that. It's quite central for the teams as well. So like you go to Heinrichs and that's like a suburb by itself. It's got its own sports field.
Henrik Motorsport.
Yeah. And then Penske's, it's just amazing. It's like this hub of motorsport.
Yeah.
All it is motorsport. You go out to dinner and, there's Logano over there and so over there. It's just so motorsport eccentric. Like it's very cool. Like I can see why, obviously when you get over there and if you have a taste of it, you'd want to stay because they eat, sleep and breathe it. It's awesome.